to our
I
to
know.
open our chat.
You're the Calgon voice.
All right.
And we have our beautiful life leaders with us, Christina, Harry, and Justin today, who are bravely going to go where no others have gone before after we kind of moved through. But welcome, everybody. Here's our and YouTubers and whoever else is joining us. It is ironically and perfectly September 1st, and it is the first gathering in our Live and Love for a new topic that we're going to explore throughout the month of September. And the way that we've framed the topic is simply to stay in the theme of the nature of. These conversations have kind of been explored around this overall theme to inquire and discover around. And this month, we're going to look at the nature of image and action. So I want to give a little clarity around this. Self-image and the image we're attaching ourselves to may present a disconnect. I'm going to say this concept in our everyday life and the inquiry of it might be thought of as something that we move in and out of sync around. So let me lay this out to you this way. Is the image of self, and we'll say image of self or the self. We're going to speak about the self as our true nature, our inner knowing. And the self-image that we are attaching to or projecting out into the world, are they in sync? Are they potentially just two different images? And if they are, do they come with two different actions? So how does the physical world depend and rely on the image we project? And most importantly, does this image suggest a set of actions? Okay, and so just bear with us. We're going to go into an exploration today. Can we easily lose our true self, the self, the awareness in the attachment process to our image? And let's just use a very practical example. Let's say when you see a person in clothing in accordance with a religious practice, a tradition, or let's say significance to faith, clerical clothing, cassocks, robes, hats, crucifixes.
There, you crucifixed it.
The image associated with an assumed action, maybe. And as we know, sometimes that's not in sync. When you see a person who's in a professional sports team identity, let's say, again, it's assumed that they carry a certain action assigned to it. A politician, a doctor. These are sort of easy to kind of wrap your or put an image identity around. And today we're going to look through the lens of family around this. Next week, we'll look at occupation or profession. The following week, we'll look at community or social media. And then we'll wrap it up with the personal image or intimacy, the intimacy I am. But to kind of frame the beginning, let me ask this kind of a question. Ladies, which is greater? The diamond engagement ring on your finger or the relationship it calls you to be in? Play with that. Liz is like, hold on a minute. Let's go back to a religious practice. Which is greater, the rosary that swings from the car of someone's mirror or the life that it calls them to lead? Which is greater?
I was saying, guys, which is greater, the popcorn and the beer or the significance of the ball game?
Okay.
Okay.
Well, that's good. Which is greater, the sports jersey, badge, the social profile, numbers even, or the life that it calls you to lead? So these identities and images that we attach ourselves to are often not in sync, or we should just say they move in and out of sync. And do you want to kind of touch on that?
First, for me, I have to look at it from self-image and the image that I attach to myself.
Question one.
What and how are they different? Right. And that takes a little soul searching, I think, for some of us. So when we're looking at the image we put out into the world, or the life/action that it calls us to lead, are they in and out of sync? And we could flip through these as little self-serving questions. Is that a pie or is it a grapefruit? But really, if we look at these and how they pertain to ourselves, it's not such a surface question. And it may not be an immediate or a simple answer at first, because it causes us to really do some self-exploration to dig into that. And is the more attractive, easy, immediate sounding answer just more attractive because it takes a lot less self-reflection?
I also think that sometimes it's through the discrepancies in these potentially two different images. So we asked this question to a few people, just sort of exactly how we're bringing it. Which is greater, the image we put out into the world, or the life or action it calls us to lead? And is that in or out of sync? And one of the responses I thought was very interesting. She said, I think the image we put into the world, because this is a factor that we have some level of control over, might be easier. But she also went on to say that, but usually that's the one we let out, or the one we put out, that falls out of sync, or the expectation of others based on the image doesn't match up with the expectation of action associated with the image.
Right. So sometimes it's discrepancies and sometimes it isn't. Which then is a discrepancy?
So let's assume your parents are very excited about the fact that you have just gotten your graduate degree. And this is assigned with an identity. It's assigned with an image that you're going off to pursue some independence. Maybe it's a profession that's going to come along with that. And on the day of graduation, you have decided that that next day, you're going to get engaged, married, pregnant, and all of your attention is going to be directed at serving the success of your partner.
In other words, my daughter, the doctor, has become my daughter, the wife. What a waste of an education.
Well, actually, that's an interesting perspective that Eric just sort of, so we're going to look at it within the realm of family, because when we start getting into a reconnective healing experience and a healer, that brought into the family, especially if you've been mother, father, daughter, there's a whole wave of self-image image of self and actions that start to kind of become unclear, and not always unclear on behalf of your knowingness. So let's just stay with this example for a minute, because it was an example that really pertained to something in real time. So is it possible that the parent of that person might really be the one who's out of sync with their child's self-image, even though the actions and the identity might have created this perception or expectation that this was the self-image, this was what had been projected, this was going to be the action associated, that this is what they had been sort of expressed as what they were being called to be in the world. And several of you have walked this walk. I before you all came on, I was sort of pointing a little bit. Justin is just graduating. He's off to do, Justin Victor, who's one of our life leaders, off to do many things. It's been a very interesting intersection specifically for him around his self-image and the image that, let's just say, has been projected or part of his family. And fortunately, his life leader friends in this way, Harry and Christina, and everybody sort of immersed and been around to participate and support and look at this through a multiplicity of lenses. So before we kind of go into this, because part of our ability to gather this way as a group of friends is to really move through the ineffable, that which we are always, and yet share with each other our experiences. And each of you have specifically a specific, we'll say, self-image or image that's projected, and where it is moving in and out of sync in your life is really worth sharing with each other. Really deeply important that we begin to look at this and delineate it a little more closely. So I'm going to use another example, and it's an important example. You put your hands, body, mind, family, in the hands of a doctor or a priest. And now I'm going to pick a very uncomfortable example. You as a child put yourself, your true nature, in the hands of a parent, father, mother, and the actions associated with that image and identity that are clearly outlined in the physical world are out of sync. If a parent who violates a child, their child, whether it's physically, sexually, emotionally, it doesn't matter what the specific experience or incident is. But that image, the one that we rely on, meaning that the action associated with that image has become so clear and vivid, yet it is not, unfortunately, in sync. So it is not the one that is being led, or one is being led by in the world, in their daily life. And we do see this. We see it both in the identity of, again, a badge, a cloak, an icon, a social media influencer. This is the latest, most confusing one. And yet the image and action are out of sync, deeply out of sync. So we want to start with family. We want to start with family. We want to, for some of you, the way in which the reconnective healing experience has reconnected that sinking. Sometimes we refer to as life progress. We want to look at what is being implied here for you. So we're frequently hear from those exploring, let's say, the reception of energy, light, and information, and you'll hear them say, I'm not feeling like myself, or I'm so unclear on who I am now, but my family thinks I'm lost. I'm sorry, I'm so clear on who I am now, but my family thinks I'm lost. I know I'm a healer, but no one sees me. I'm sharing reconnective healing, and my family is worried about me and what others will think. My whole life, I've been a mother, a father. And finally, I know who I am now. That's a really tricky one. And not that, or to suggest that the self is one thing, but to know knowingly your true nature, and yet the image that is being projected comes with a set of actions. So we've kind of put it out here. We want you guys sharing in the chat. Does this image that you have, and we'll start again with family, suggest a set of actions that are confusing?
Now,
Don't think out of sync.
we've got a couple things to talk about on this. Right before we do, you know what time it is, don't you? It's time to say goodbye to the YouTubers. And, you know, we want to share a little bit about some of the beautiful growth and expansion, two words that we may play with at a later date, but right now we're going to use them, that we've all been experiencing as we've been going through and playing with the Solomon Studies group. So we want to invite you to take a look at the Solomon Study Group and to join us in the Reconnective Life Community. The Solomon Study Group is a part of that. You can also look into the first free hour of the portal, which allows you to experience actively in many ways reconnective healing, the reconnective healing experience. But I think you're going to find the Solomon Studies group very interesting. So that's all I'm going to say about that now, because I have a feeling there's a little surprise coming up for you later. So bye, YouTubers, and we'll see you soon.
Bye, everybody wave. Bye.
Bye.
These are all your friends. Okay.
Okay. Now, you may want to notice as you're going to family if this is an appropriate time to have two family comments.
Yes, no, this particular set of
thing.
weekly interactions
Right.
is really, we're going to have to open up chats and listen to one another and play with this in sync, out of sync expression, and where it's coming up, because of course it's coming up. It comes up for each and every one of us. I have a 31-year-old son. He has, it is, and he lives in Los Angeles, and he's immersed in the world of music and all kinds of exceptionally, what's the word I'm looking for?
I'm Eric Pearl, and we have launched an online course called The Portal. It's an expansion of our online essentials, our level 1, an 8+ hour e-learning course.
And we decided to add content because our students were asking for more. What is a portal? It's a doorway to transformation.
It includes the 8 hours of the online essentials course,
2 key chapters, one on love and one on healing, and workbooks from our worthiness episode from the series The Inner Compass.
more than 10 hours of content.
The portal helps us discover our roadblocks that may be stopping us from living our fullest potential.
How does the portal help bring about these benefits? Easy to follow short segments with interactive exercises, information acquired not only through the mind, but through interaction with the frequencies themselves. Effortless learning and personal evolution.
It brings the possibility for instant transformation, healing, and the evolution of each and every one of us in our everyday lives.
Hey there, family. Dr. Eric and Jillian here.
Welcome, everyone.
And we're very excited about Reconnective Life, our first online global community. This is the most exciting way we've been able to get together since I founded the Reconnection. It'll be a place where we can do things together. We'll move into breakout rooms at times when that's appropriate. We'll have energy interactions and meditations and exercises. In other words, expect things you haven't seen before.
You are so charged.
Thanks for
He is so lit about every new way we get to be together every day. Just be together. Let us just speak a little bit about what is going to be the shape of this community.
In this community, we can share and discover more. Here we can talk to each other, we can chat, we can learn from and about one another. Jillian, me, our life leaders, and you will be in daily conversation with you. Weekly, we will have Facebook Lives.
We will be with you every Wednesday. Sometimes it'll be just Eric. On occasion, it might just be me. Sometimes it'll be the two of us. It's all about giving you a way to look at the week living in the frequencies.
And in every 4th week, we will include a live Q&A so we can talk about things that have been coming up for us, discuss back and forth, share, grow, expand together.
And the ever-growing library of content that has been created over 20 years that will be on demand for you. It will be on-demand content for you to view, enjoy, share again with your inner circle.
And monthly, we are going to have live Zoom retreats. We're going to bring in some exercises and experiences and things that previously we've reserved for our physical retreats, when we were in the different location resorts and things. And we're modifying them so that we can work with these with you in your home, in your living room, in your den. Put into the chat line, what is facility? We're having these weekly Zoom in-depth Q&As.
Finally, we have a place and space to just define what does that really mean living in the frequencies.
This is something that is in all of us.
Everyone can do this.
It doesn't matter how many levels you've gone through or how well you know the programs. It's a community that allows us to recognize how interrelated we all are as receivers of energy, light, and information.
See you there.
Reconnective Life, living in the frequencies every day.